Imagine finding out the person you vowed to spend your life with has been secretly plotting to end it all behind your back, with divorce papers ready to shatter your world. That's exactly what happened to me. But what my husband didn't see coming was my countermove, a plan so bold it left him speechless. Stick around, because this story of betrayal, resilience, and sweet revenge will keep you glued to your seat. It was a Tuesday evening, the kind where the air feels heavy with routine, and I was folding laundry in our quiet suburban home. The kids were asleep, and my husband, Mark, was working late again, or so he said. I'd noticed the distance growing between us for months, the curt replies, the way his eyes avoided mine, the late nights at the office that smelled more like excuses than truth. But nothing prepared me for what I found that night. Tucked inside his briefcase, under a stack of spreadsheets, was a manila envelope labeled confidential. My heart sank as I pulled out the divorce papers. His signature already scrawled at the bottom. Page after page outlined a future without me, custody plans, asset divisions, even a note about irreconcilable differences. My hands trembled, not from sadness, but from a simmering rage. How long had he been planning this? How dare he think he could dismantle our life without so much as a conversation? I wasn't the naive housewife he thought I was. That night, as I sat in the dark, I made a vow. Mark wasn't going to walk away with everything. I'd spent years building this family, sacrificing my career, my dreams, to support his. If he thought he could blindside me, he was about to learn who he was really married to. I didn't sleep. Instead, I started digging. His late nights, the business trips, the new suits that appeared in his closet. There were clues everywhere, and I was done ignoring them. By morning, I had a plan, one that would turn his calculated betrayal into his biggest regret. It wasn't just about protecting myself. It was about reclaiming my power. I called my best friend, a lawyer named Sarah, who'd seen her fair share of messy divorces. "You're not going down without a fight," she said, her voice sharp with determination. We spent hours mapping out every detail: financial records, text messages, even the whispers I'd heard about his new assistant at work. More I uncovered, the clearer it became. Mark wasn't just leaving me, he was building a whole new life, one he thought he could slip into seamlessly. But I wasn't going to let that happen. I started gathering evidence, quietly, methodically, like a detective in my own marriage. Bank statements showed transfers to accounts I didn't recognize. His phone, left carelessly on the counter one night, revealed late-night calls to a number I didn't know. Each discovery was a knife to the heart, but it also fueled me. I wasn't just fighting for our house or our kids, I was fighting for the years I'd poured into a man who thought he could discard me. By the end of that week, I had enough to make him sweat, but I wasn't ready to confront him yet. Timing was everything, and I wanted him to feel the weight of his own choices. The next few weeks were a masterclass in playing the long game. I kept up appearances, cooking dinners, smiling at Mark across the table, even asking about his day like nothing was wrong. Inside, I was a storm of emotions, anger, hurt, but also a strange kind of clarity. I'd always been the good wife, the one who smoothed things over, who made sure our life looked perfect from the outside. But now, I was rewriting the script. Sarah helped me hire a private investigator, a grizzled guy named Tony who knew how to dig without leaving a trace. Tony's reports came in like puzzle pieces. Mark was seeing someone, a younger woman from his office named Claire. There were photos, grainy shots of them at a coffee shop, her hand on his arm, his laugh too loud for a business meeting. I felt sick, but I also felt vindicated. This wasn't just about divorce, it was about betrayal on every level. Tony uncovered more: offshore accounts, hidden assets, even a lease for an apartment I'd never heard of. Mark was planning his exit strategy with surgical precision, thinking I'd be too broken to notice, but he underestimated me. I started building my own strategy, one that would hit him where it hurt most: his wallet and his pride. Sarah connected me with a forensic accountant who traced every dollar Mark had moved. We found over $200,000 funneled into accounts under his sister's name, a classic move to hide money during a divorce. I also started documenting everything at home: every late night, every vague excuse, every time he slipped up and mentioned Claire's name. I even got the kids to mention things they'd overheard, like Daddy's friend who came to his office. It was heartbreaking to involve them, but I needed every piece of leverage. Meanwhile, I worked on myself. I started therapy to process the pain, hit the gym to feel strong again, and even enrolled in an online course to revive the career I'd paused for Mark. I wasn't just preparing for a legal battle, I was rebuilding the woman I'd been before I let his dreams eclipse mine. Every step felt like reclaiming a piece of myself, and with each piece, my resolve grew. I wasn't going to let Mark walk away with everything he wanted while I got scraps. I wanted him to feel the consequences of his choices, to see the woman he'd underestimated rise up and take control. By month 2, I was ready to tighten the screws. Sarah and I met with a divorce attorney who specialized in high-conflict cases. Her name was Rachel, and she was a shark, exactly what I needed. Rachel reviewed everything: the financials, the photos, the call logs, even Mark's social media, where he'd been careless enough to like Claire's posts. "This is a goldmine," Rachel said, her eyes gleaming. "He's not just cheating, he's trying to screw you over financially. We're going to make him regret it." Our plan was simple but brutal. We'd let Mark think he was in control, until the moment we flipped the script. I kept playing the oblivious wife, even suggesting a weekend getaway to reconnect. He bought it, probably thinking I was desperate to save our marriage. Meanwhile, Rachel filed a motion to freeze our joint accounts, citing suspicious financial activity. Mark didn't know yet, but his carefully hidden money was about to be locked down. We also requested a full audit of his company's books, since he'd been funneling bonuses through a shell corporation. The investigator, Tony, got me something even better: an email from Claire to Mark, gushing about their new life and how they'd finally be free. It was the smoking gun I needed to prove infidelity in court. I could have confronted him then, but I waited. I wanted him to feel untouchable before I pulled the rug out. At home, I started subtly shifting things, moving money into a separate account, securing important documents, even changing the passwords to our shared accounts. Mark didn't notice. He was too busy planning his escape. One night, he came home late, reeking of perfume, and had the audacity to kiss me on the forehead. I smiled, but inside, I was counting down the days. Rachel advised me to file first, to set the terms of the divorce before he could. So, I did. I filed for divorce on a quiet Monday morning, citing infidelity and financial misconduct. The papers were served to him at work, right in front of his colleagues. Sarah told me later that he went pale, stammering as he read the documents, but that was just the beginning. I wasn't just going for a fair split, I was going for everything he cared about, including his reputation. The day Mark was served was the day my countermove went into full swing. He called me immediately, his voice a mix of panic and anger. "What the hell is this?" he shouted, as if I was the one who'd betrayed him. I stayed calm, my voice ice cold. "You tell me, Mark, I found your papers. Did you think I wouldn't fight back?" He went silent, and I knew I'd hit a nerve. The next few weeks were chaos. Mark tried to play the victim, telling our friends I was overreacting, that he'd only been considering divorce. But I had the evidence, and I wasn't afraid to use it. Rachel presented our case in court with surgical precision. The offshore accounts, the apartment lease, the photos of him with Claire, it all came out. The judge's face hardened as she reviewed the evidence, and Mark's lawyer looked like he wanted to disappear. We didn't just ask for alimony and child support. We demanded a full accounting of his hidden assets and a 70-30 split of our marital property in my favor. Mark's face during the hearing was priceless: shock, then fury, then defeat. He'd thought he could outsmart me, but I'd outplayed him. Outside of court, I kept the pressure on. I tipped off a local journalist about Mark's creative accounting at his company, and soon, whispers of an investigation started circling. His perfect corporate image began to crack. Claire, too, felt the heat. She was quietly let go from the company after the affair became public knowledge. I didn't stop there. I sold our house, our dream home that I'd decorated every inch. Yvonne moved the kids and me to a new place, one that felt like ours. Mark begged to reconcile, promising to end things with Claire, but it was too late. I wasn't the woman he'd married anymore. I was stronger, smarter, and done with his lies. Every step I took was a reminder that I wasn't just surviving his betrayal, I was thriving in spite of it. A year later, I'm sitting in my new home, the kids laughing in the next room. My laptop opened to a job offer from a company I'd dreamed of working for. The divorce is finalized, and I got more than I'd hoped: full custody, a hefty settlement, and the satisfaction of watching Mark's carefully built world crumble. He's living in a cramped apartment now, his reputation tarnished, his finances gutted. Claire, She's long gone, unable to handle the fallout. I don't hate Mark anymore. I don't have the energy for that. Instead, I feel free. The woman who found those divorce papers a year ago was scared, hurt, and unsure of herself. But that woman doesn't exist anymore. I rebuilt myself, piece by piece, through sleepless nights and endless fights. I learned to trust my instincts, to lean on my friends, and to never underestimate my own strength. This wasn't just about winning a divorce. It was about winning back my life. To anyone watching this, if you're facing betrayal, know this: you are stronger than you think. You can fight back, not with anger, but with strategy and resolve. My countermove wasn't just about leaving Mark stunned, it was about showing myself what I'm capable of, and that, more than anything, is my victory.